Hello and welcome to game 4 against orangeperson. So we have a kingdom here. We have a new card, Blockade, out of Seaside, replaces Embargo. We actually do use it. Well, I use it a lot in this game, so we'll see it in action. Villagers are only found in Patron and or Sacrifice. I'm not about fighting up so hard to gain actions from Sacrifice or Patron. So to me, is a single terminal game, probably something like Forge. You draw with Magpie Storyteller and buy province, Forge province, straightforward stuff. So this involves a lot of magpies, I think is going to be important. I don't really know how to get the magpie because there are a bunch of taxes on these piles here. I'm not even sure how to open, honestly. If I open silver, I make it easy for my opponent to buy silver, so I don't want to do that. And if I open silver, then I cannot open magpie either, which I don't want. So I just open with tax. I don't know what else to do. And I tax the patrons on purpose because okay, maybe they want to play some kind of game where they collect villagers with patron or play with sacrifice to play with artisan and forge or something. No, no. Let me make your life, whoever you are with your action deck, a little more difficult by putting a tax on the patron. So it's a big statement early on, but I'm fine making that big statement early on. Alright, so I passed the tax. Here's Blockade, by the way. Let's go back a bit so we could see Blockade. Blockade gains. Yeah, I got it up to 4. Put it into your hand next turn. And while that Blockade is in play, if anyone else gains, they get curses alongside it. So much more playable than Embargo is. They opt for a Blockade opening. Now that I saw their Blockade opening, I wanted the Blockade too. I was going to open with Magpie there instead, but I decided to try and fight Blockade with Blockade. Also, Blockade might help me win the Magpie split, and Way of the Butterfly means when the Blockade is done, just return it, gain a Storyteller. No big deal. Alright, so here's 3 for them. 2, actually, because they tax. They opt to go ahead and tax the Magpies, but haha, Blockade gets around the tax. So I gain the Magpie anyway, and then I open up the silver. They capitalize on that right away. Here's a magpie in hand. Trigger the shuffle. It's not that big of a shuffle. Plus, I was probably going to draw money there. So I could buy another 4 cost. Could be a silver, but yeah, we go for the silver because we want storytellers. Now that I have a gainer in Blockade, I want to see that as soon as possible. So I took another silver there. Now I have 5 actually. Gain the storyteller here. They have 8. Orangeperson gets up to 8. I wanted to cry when I saw this, really. Because this is the early Forge. This is what I was working towards for this whole game. But hold up. They gained Artisan instead of Forge. Alright, we could play with that. That's fine. 4 again for me here is not ideal. I choose to gain another Blockade. I was not sure about this second Blockade. They could collide, maybe. I mean, if they don't collide, then that's great. You get to gain a heap of magpies, but if they do collide, it's not so good. Another silver for orangeperson. That's their 3rd silver. I blockade the magpie, get up to 5. This is going to be another storyteller for me, I believe. So the blockades didn't collide here, which is good news. Right now I'm 3-1 up on the magpie split. I think the magpie split is very important in this kingdom. At least until you get the forge, then you don't really care about them. They choose to go ahead, blockade patron. So again, I thought I was being clever by taxing patron, but no, they just blockade and go around the tax. No big deal. They gain a storyteller. So they want to play some kind of big engineer deck. I say engineer, I mean something with actions, artisan and forge and monument. I don't know what their plan is, but we'll see. I finally hit 6, so gold is important for the storyteller to draw, is also important to allow me to buy forge. A sacrifice for them, you see what's happening. You see, some people have the ideas to play with the actions. That's why I taxed the Patreon, but it wasn't it wasn't that good of a tax, to be honest. It's not that big of a deterrent. It's not even a deterrent, I would say. Anyways, I'm going to continue along my plan of playing without these cards here. I blockade another magpie. So far, the blockades have not collided, so we are very happy about that, and we are actually gaining a heap of magpies. In fact, after the game, I realized I won the magpie split 9-1, which is probably the first time I've ever won a magpie split. Ever. Usually I have to fight very, very hard to even go 5-5 on magpies. But here, I guess because of the blockades, right? They just helped me to win the magpie split comprehensively. Gold for orange person there. I added a third silver into my deck as well because I wasn't hitting Forge. Now I could hit Forge and a half, apparently. Thanks, Dominion. Anyways, complaints aside, I think my deck is in a reasonable place here, honestly, with the 9 magpies, the 3 storytellers, and the Forge. And I think I am in a position to actually hustle my opponent here. I may be able to draw through my deck soon. I see the Forge on a reasonable hand here, honestly. I have good choices. Could get rid of the estates for a gold. Could get rid of the 2 blockades for a province. Take the gold instead. I put the tax on Forge because they don't have a Forge yet and the blockade cannot go around that tax. They pick up a province first. That's not a good sign for me in this kind of game where it's kind of hard to gain a second province on a turn. So I have to hope that was a kind of one-off thing and that I can catch up a little bit, especially considering I have forged away my estates. I draw through. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant work from the magpies and the storytellers here. I am going to forge away the blockades and just keep enough money to pick up a province here. And we should be up and running now. I have some treasure in the deck, so the magpies will draw some. Again, because I won the split 9-1, I could afford to forge away 2 or 4 of these magpies into provinces. We are cool. We are cool at this point. I think the deck is under control, and I will be going through 2 provinces a turn here. They have collected a villager now, and they've bought a gold, but I think it's going to be too late for them. Double magpie is not the only way I could forge into province. Storyteller silver works as well, as you see here. This is what I'm considering, but I say no, it's not time to liquidate the storytellers just yet. I get rid of 2 magpies here. I miss out on province here. Spent too much on the storyteller draw. So I'm gonna buy a gold just so the storytellers have enough to draw with province for my opponent. But I do get a good turn here. Draw a heap of cards with the storyteller, and that lets me pure double province here. I think I forge away a couple magpies again by the penultimate province, and that prompts my opponent to resign here. There's not much they could do in that position, honestly. Well, I say resign. They buy the last province, effectively resigning. That's game 4. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.